Je prends là vraiment au pied levé.
And so you really, after such a very serious roundtable, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to participate in it, but I wanted to speak in this symposium and to talk about the COP21 and to encourage you to believe that on the government's part concerning the summit in Paris, we are updating our agenda on a government-wide scale by Laurent Fabius on the international level and Ségolène Royal on the European level. And that's what we're trying. In every meeting of the ministries, Fabius defines the points which are moving forward and also the difficulties he encounters, both in the objective of reducing the temperature on the planet, and the commitment by states and the agenda of solutions and on mobilization and on the role and the space of all the states in this preparation of a COP21. But they differ according to country, and they are different according to the development situation, and we have to combine all of the interest to manage to get these things accepted on a planet-wide level, that we have a collective sensibility to make this a success. The failure of Copenhagen is still painful enough that we are providing ourselves with all the means to make this successful at the end of the year, and this is what we are mobilizing for in all sections of the government, and we are going to continue this mobilization. Now, within this framework, as the Ministry of Agriculture, from the start, I want agriculture just be in relation to climate change, but that could also be included in the negotiation as being an important part of the solution, as others. Now, in this discussion, both for mitigation and the issue of adaptation, I have gauged that the farming issue could be summed up, and it's often the case to date. I hope it's going to change to the issue raised to animal production and linked to animal consumption on the international level and the effect that it has on climate change. But agriculture has to be taken in its generality, that everything it can offer as a solution for reducing the emissions of GHG and what it can do, and also as a solution, an element of solution for reducing GHGs. And concerning the development for reducing the temperature, we have a whole range of technical choices that we can make, which are, everything has to do with sustainable development, that we can implement throughout the world to reduce the gas that has a very strong impact on the greenhouse gases in developing energy. That is the renewable energies concerning the general mass of them in the world. Yes, also we have to reason agriculture in its social dimension and its production level, in the sense that to be able to make a success of COP21, we have to include everybody in it, in reducing temperature rising. And the eye behind this is that there be no constraint of reducing our developmental capacity, especially in the developing countries. This remains a very important issue, politically speaking and economically speaking and socially speaking. Agriculture for certain countries accounts for about 80%, and employs 80% of the active population. And these, ironically enough, are the ones who suffer most from hunger, and a large majority of the farmers. And here we're talking about a political issue of primary importance. So what we're going to do, and we have taken note of the principle from Ségolène Royal, is to launch a project which says that we're going to make it so that agriculture, beyond what I talked about earlier about biomass and everything else, and so that we can reconcile the struggle against food insecurity with a slogan, but more carbon, we're interested in carbon, and the project which is called the 4, and that is the issue for us. Your carbon is of interest to us. Yes, we are interested in it because photosynthesis is one of the crucial elements of the issues about the developing the biomass, but also the issue of farming production. The reason that we're interested in this, more we're going to use photosynthesis, less we're going to use other energies, because we are using the photosynthesis on the ground. We have a production potential which offers possibilities to a lot of countries today to reconstitute a part of their land and to make it so that the coverage of the land by vegetation is going to develop. And it's going to enable us to produce more goods, commodities, both food, but also human aspects, but also plant protein for the animals. And so the issue of this project, your carbon interests, votre carbon nous intéresse, but it implies a change of farming model, which at present are underway, and which are going to be the major issue of the 20 coming years. We're going to go from a conventional model of a big consumer of energy to a model of which is going to use much more ecosystems and natural mechanisms than what has been done up until now. That is the revolution, the green revolution we're moving forward. These are the avenues we're moving down with this determination to rethink about our production models, because if we don't, then in any case, we are not going to manage to reduce our production. And so we're not going to be able to settle a debate.
Now, there was a debate. If I produce protein for biomass, it means that I'm no longer producing it for human consumption. And so that everything that you're developing in terms of new fuels is to the detriment of food production. So in our agroecological strategy, there is the issue of photosynthesis that needs to be rethought. We want to use the natural mechanisms. I've already said that during the conference on the environment, and everybody was present laughed when we said that working the land is a historical activity. Agriculture and pasturing, Mr. Sully said as much, is the foundation of France. However, when we work the land, we also destroy the grass and the plant life. There's a lot of things that can be done. And there are even little insects and in the soil that are useful, and we forgot about them, and yet they are tireless workers. And those, namely the earthworms. 3 tons of earthworms per hectare moves 700 tons of soil, 700 tons. And if you're capable of implementing it, you no longer have to till the soil, and it saves energy. So agroecology aims at using these natural mechanisms. Another example that you're familiar with is the use of the ladybirds. With parasites and all the different phenomenon to avoid the development of disease. So there's all resources out there in nature that can help us, and that mean that we don't have to use all these, that we can save energy. I think of nitrogen. The use of nitrogen can be useful for fertilizing the land as well. So coming back to the fact that your carbon is of interest to us, there was a study that was carried out, and this is a principle that will be confirmed at UNESCO at the beginning of July. Out of the 1,000 grams of carbon produced by photosynthesis, if we could take 4 grams of that and store it in the soil, on a planetary scale, we'll be able to consume all the carbon that's in the atmosphere today, to use up all that carbon, which is huge. So the principle is that your carbon is of interest to us because it's in our interest. If we can capture a part of the carbon and reinsert it into the ground, into the soil, that's what we're interested in. It will reduce the rate of greenhouse gas emissions, and it will be also useful to agriculture because carbon captured in the soil constitutes organic matter, and organic matter in the ground provides for more productive soil that's more resistant to erosion and hydraulic erosion. And all those countries that are suffering from a deterioration in the quality of their soil, if you can store carbon in the soil and develop the amount of organic content in the soil, it has a double interest. You are reducing greenhouse gas emissions because you're storing carbon, and by storing the carbon in the soil, you're also improving your productivity. And so in the debates being held in the framework of COP21, to get a certain number of countries on board, countries that need to improve the quality of their soil and need strategies for developing their agricultural development, I think here we're reconciling two different things. There's the challenge linked to food safety as well as the fight against climatic change. So we're going to embark on this process of 4 parts per thousand, and your carbon is of interest to us. There will be a symposium that will be held at UNESCO on the 7th of July, and they will be setting the agenda for the research and the methodology that will be carried out on a global scale. The INRA, the CIRAD are also on board, are involved in the initiative, and they will take care of the scientific aspects. And as of July, there will be a wider discussions that will be held at the Quai d'Orsay with all those involved in the COP21 relative to the subject, and it's particularly with the African countries, because we have to be capable of showing that it's a win-win situation, that there's advantages to be gained for everybody. And we will also show what ground cover is about, and the maximum use of photosynthesis will enable us to do when already in France we have examples when it comes to carbon storage. It's a scientific project, but we'd also like it to be integrated in the agenda of solutions. Agroecology was integrated in the FAO strategy. Agroecology was also included in the discussions. It was climate smart agriculture. It was included in climate smart agriculture, and we are very vigilant when it comes to climate smart agriculture. We don't want to go down a path that we don't want to go down. I set out the challenges that we have to meet. There are initiatives, and we want to be in line. We want to be in the movement. Look at what's happening in India, a big country as an example. If they don't get involved in the debate, get involved in the proposals and the solutions, if we tell them that by storing carbon in the soil, this will enhance the productivity of your soil, it's very positive to be positive at the beginning of negotiations, especially in this field. And so this is what we're busy working on. And so on the 7th and 8th of July, we will have our initial UNESCO conference on methods and research programs. The 8th will have discussions with all the negotiators, and from the next day there'll be specific presentations and technical presentations in terms of what's going on relative to the system in France and how much carbon can be stored in the soil, and with the different systems that cover the ground. And then we'll have another important meeting in September at the OECD with all the OECD ministers who will come to work on this topic and to relay this project. And then in Ankara, in October, we'll be finalizing the entire mechanism so that we can bring to the table solid negotiations for COP21, and we can introduce an agenda for solutions. So this is what we're planning to do. This is what the Ministry of Agriculture is doing at the moment. This is a very important challenge. We're at a crossroads today when it comes to European agriculture, and for French agriculture, for European agriculture, and for global agriculture. This is a path that if we take this path, there are possibilities and solutions that will help us in our fight against climate change. That's why it was so important for me to be here today, because I know that they're having debate at the NGO level relative to carbon storage, and sometimes people tend to be reticent. So I want to explain to you what the underlying philosophy will be following, what the stakes and challenges are, and to set these important dates where we'll meet again, because this is a very important topic. In terms of discussions to be held at COP21, and it would be very useful to get other parties on board who possibly are not interested in signing an agreement at COP21. We need to go see those countries. I mean, just then, look, with agriculture and agriculture challenges, not only do we have the means to enhance production, but we also have the means to find solutions and meet the challenges of global warming. So, once again, this isn't just a project relative to developed countries. It's a project for everybody. Questions of ecology are viable projects. In the field of agriculture a year ago, this was part of the projects we supported. We are in line with the others. This was something we voted for. And when it comes to ground coverage, soil coverage, when it comes to agroforestry, there's a lot of potential that with solutions already being implemented in other African countries, such as Burkina Faso, for example. There have been certain experiments that have been carried out and that we could look to further develop these strategies on a wider scale, extending beyond the continent of Africa and spreading it to the rest of the world. Just to remind you, if we manage to capture 4 grams out of the 1,000 grams out of the gases from photosynthesis, and we insert that into the soil, we'll be able to capture the equivalent of all the carbon that exists in the atmosphere today. This is a huge, we're not there yet. We're not saying, tomorrow we sign the agreement and the problem's settled. We're here to trigger the movement because we need carbon in the atmosphere, because otherwise there won't be any photosynthesis anymore. So we need to be careful, but we need to be ambitious if we want to succeed. And that's what I want to tell you. You are ambitious people, we are ambitious people, and together we will succeed. Thank you very much.